They dared him to sleep with his boss for $500. What they didn't know, Nathan Cole had been in love with her for 6 months. On a rain-soaked Friday night at a construction site turned battleground, a single father made a choice that would either destroy his career or finally give him the life he'd been too afraid to claim. When Nathan walked into Lena Whitmore's glass office with the city blazing behind her, he carried a secret recording, a dare from hell, and feelings he could no longer hide. Stay until the end to see how one night changed everything. Hit that like button and comment your city so I can see how far this story travels. The rain came down like nails on sheet metal. Nathan Cole stood in the doorway of the job trailer, watching the downpour turn the construction site into a muddy battlefield. His work boots were caked with clay. His flannel shirt stuck to his shoulders. The Friday night crew had already packed up, most of them, anyway. The smart ones had gone home to their families, their warm houses, their normal lives. Nathan wasn't smart. Not tonight. Behind him, laughter erupted from inside the trailer. Rough, bourbon-soaked laughter that made his jaw tighten. He didn't turn around. He knew exactly what they were laughing about. They'd been circling the same joke for 20 minutes now, like vultures over roadkill. "Come on, Cole," Trent Miller's voice cut through the rain. "Don't tell me you're chickening out already." Nathan's hand tightened around the doorframe. Trent. Of course it was Trent. The man had been gunning for him ever since Nathan filed that safety report 3 weeks ago. 17 violations. OSHA. Level violations. The kind that got people killed if nobody spoke up. Nathan had spoken up. And Trent Miller had made it his personal mission to make Nathan's life hell ever since. $500, man. Another voice. Derek something or other, new guy, trying too hard to fit in with the Friday night drinking crew. That's half your rent. Actually, it was more than half. Nathan's apartment, the 2-bedroom walk-up in the part of town where the streetlights worked half the time, ran him $850 a month. $500 would cover Mia's after-school program for 2 months. Maybe 3 if he stretched it. 8-year-old Mia, his daughter. The reason he got up at 5 every morning. The reason he worked 60-hour weeks. The reason he kept his mouth shut about most things and his head down about everything else, except the safety violations. He couldn't keep quiet about those. Nathan finally turned around. 6 men sat around the folding table in the trailer's main room, playing cards and drinking from bottles they'd pulled from a cooler that had no business being on a work site. Trent Miller sat at the head of the table like a king on a throne made of plywood and spite. "I'm not doing it," Nathan said quietly. Trent grinned. He had the kind of smile that made you want to check your wallet afterward. "That's what I thought. All talk, no action." "I didn't agree to anything." "Because you're scared." Trent leaned back in his chair, making it creak. "You're scared of Lena Whitmore. Hell, we all are. But the difference is we don't pretend we're not." Nathan's pulse kicked up a notch. They'd been talking about Lena for the past hour. VP of Operations. The woman who ran this whole division like a machine. The woman who could fire any of them with a signature and never lose a minute of sleep over it. The woman Nathan hadn't been able to stop thinking about for 6 months. "Leave it alone, Trent." "Can't leave it alone." Trent pulled out his phone, tapped the screen. "See? I already texted the guys in C Block. Told them Nathan Cole was about to march up to the 10th floor and shoot his shot with the Ice Queen herself. They got $50 riding on whether you'll actually do it." Nathan's stomach dropped. "You did what?" "Made it interesting." Trent showed him the phone. A group text, 12 people, bets, amounts, odds. "You back out now, you're going to look like the biggest coward on this job site. Hell, in this whole company." Derek laughed nervously. "Come on, Trent, that's what?" Trent's eyes never left Nathan. "Fair? Since when is construction fair? Cole here wants to play hero, filing reports, making us all look bad. Now he gets to prove he's got the balls to back it up." Nathan should have walked out. Should have driven home to his apartment, checked on Mia, she was at his sister's place tonight, probably already asleep, and put this whole night in the rearview mirror. But something stopped him. Maybe it was the way Trent smiled, that satisfied ugly smile that said he'd already won. Maybe it was the thought of walking into work Monday morning and seeing that smile every single day for the next however many years he'd be stuck in this job. Or maybe, and Nathan hated himself for even thinking it, Maybe it was the memory of last Tuesday. Last Tuesday, when Lena Whitmore had come down to the site for a walkthrough, when she'd stepped carefully through the mud in boots that probably cost more than Nathan's truck. When she'd stopped to ask him, specifically him, about the foundation pour schedule. She'd looked at him. Really looked. Not through him, not past him, at him. And when he'd explained the delays, the weather issues, the supplier problems, she'd listened, nodded, asked follow-up questions that showed she actually understood what he was talking about. Then she'd smiled, small, professional, but real. Nathan hadn't stopped thinking about that smile for 6 days. "What exactly are you asking me to do?" His voice came out rougher than he intended. Trent's grin widened. "Simple. Walk up to the main office. Lena's still there. I saw her car in the executive lot. You go up there, you walk into her office, and you make it happen." "Make what happen?" "Don't play dumb." Trent leaned forward. "You seduce the boss. You sleep with her. You come back with proof. I don't know, a picture, her panties, whatever, and you walk away $500 richer. Easy money." The trailer went quiet except for the rain hammering the roof. Nathan's hands curled into fists. "That's insane. That's the dare. She'd have me fired, arrested probably. Only if you're bad at it." Trent shrugged. "But hey, if you can't close, you can't close. Just say so now and save us all the time." Nathan looked around the trailer. Derek looked uncomfortable. 2 other guys, Brian and Marcus, looked fascinated, like they were watching a reality show. The other 2 looked drunk enough not to care either way. Nobody was going to stop this. Nobody was going to tell Trent he'd crossed a line. Because in their world, this was just Friday night entertainment. "I'll give you 1,000, Trent said suddenly. Nathan's head snapped up. "What?" $1,000, cash. You do this, you bring back proof, I'll pay you 1,000. Trent pulled out his wallet, counted bills. "I got 300 on me right now. I'll get you the rest Monday." $1,000. Nathan thought about Mia's school clothes, the ones she needed because she was growing faster than his paycheck could keep up. He thought about the weird noise his truck had been making for 2 weeks, the noise he'd been ignoring because he couldn't afford the mechanic. He thought about the look on his ex-wife Jennifer's face the last time she'd picked up Mia, that pitying, disappointed look that said, "This is why I left you." And he thought about Lena Whitmore, not the VP, not the boss, but the woman he'd seen smile last Tuesday, the woman who'd asked him his opinion like it mattered, the woman who'd made him feel for just 5 minutes like he was more than a muddy pair of boots and a fading paycheck. Nathan took a breath. "I'm not doing this because of the money." Trent blinked. "What?" "I'm not doing it because of your dare. I'm not doing it to prove anything to you." Nathan grabbed his jacket from the hook by the door. "But I am going up there." The trailer erupted in shouts and laughter. Someone whistled. Derek looked genuinely shocked. Trent stood up slowly. "Hold on, you're serious?" "I'm going to talk to her. That's it. No games, no proof, no pictures." Nathan met Trent's eyes. "And when I come back, you're going to delete that group text and tell everyone the bet's off." "Like hell I am." "Then we've got nothing to talk about." Nathan reached for the door. "Wait." Trent moved fast for a big man. He pulled out his phone again, tapped the screen. "Fine. You go up there, you talk to her, whatever, but I'm sending someone to verify." "Verify what?" "That you actually went." Trent showed him the phone. A message thread. "Rodriguez works security tonight. He'll confirm you showed up at her office. That's the deal. You go. He confirms. I pay you 500 and we call it square." Nathan stared at the phone, at the message already sent, at the trap Trent had just set without even trying to hide it. Because Rodriguez wouldn't just confirm Nathan showed up. Rodriguez would tell everyone. The whole company would know by Monday morning. Nathan Cole went to Lena Whitmore's office on a Friday night. The rumors would write themselves. "You're a piece of work, Trent." "I'm a businessman." Trent pocketed the phone. "So what's it going to be, Cole? You got the balls to walk through that door or not?" Nathan looked at the rain, looked at the trailer full of men who'd never respect him either way, looked at his truck in the parking lot, the one with the bad brakes and the empty gas tank and the child seat in the back that reminded him every single day what he was working for. Then he thought about Lena Whitmore one more time, and he realized something that made his chest tight. He didn't want to go to her office because of a dare. He didn't want to prove anything to Trent or collect $500 or win some stupid bet. He wanted to go because for 6 months he'd been too afraid, too aware of the distance between them, too convinced that a single father who smelled like mud and drove a dying truck had no business even thinking about a woman like her. But she'd looked at him. She'd smiled. And maybe, just maybe, that meant something. Or maybe he was about to make the biggest mistake of his life. "I'm going," Nathan said quietly, and he walked out into the rain. Tit. The drive to the main office took 15 minutes. 15 minutes of Nathan's windshield wipers fighting the storm. 15 minutes of his brain screaming at him to turn around. The Whitmore Construction headquarters sat on the edge of downtown, a 15-story glass and steel monument to success Nathan would never have. The parking garage was mostly empty this time of night. Just a handful of cars belonging to people who didn't have homes to go to, or didn't want to. Lena's car was on the executive level. Nathan recognized it immediately. A sleek black sedan that probably cost more than he'd make in 5 years. It sat under a light, perfectly parked, perfectly clean despite the rain. Nathan parked his truck 3 spaces away. The contrast was almost funny. Almost. He sat there for a full minute, engine running, hands on the wheel. His phone buzzed. A text from Trent. "Rodriguez confirmed you're in the building. Clock's ticking, hero." Nathan deleted the text. Then he turned off his truck and stepped out into the rain. The lobby was silent except for the hum of fluorescent lights. Rodriguez sat at the security desk, reading something on his phone. He looked up when Nathan walked in, dripping water on the marble floor. "Cole?" Rodriguez didn't smile. "Working late?" "Something like that." 10th floor's executive offices. "You got clearance?" "I'm going to talk to VP Whitmore." Rodriguez's eyebrows went up. "At 9:30 on a Friday night." "It's important." "Must be." Rodriguez hit a button under his desk. The elevator chimed. "She's expecting you?" Nathan hesitated. "No." "Then you might want to rethink this, man. Whitmore doesn't like surprises." "I'll take my chances." Rodriguez shrugged. "Your funeral. Elevator's ready." Nathan crossed the lobby, his boots squeaking on the polished floor. The elevator doors opened like a mouth. He stepped inside, hit the button for the 10th floor. The doors closed, and Nathan realized his heart was pounding like he'd just run a marathon. The elevator rose smooth and fast. Nathan caught his reflection in the polished metal doors. He looked exactly like what he was, a construction worker with mud on his jeans and rain in his hair, about to walk into a world where he didn't belong. The doors opened. The 10th floor was nothing like the construction sites Nathan worked. Soft carpet, tasteful art on the walls, doors with nameplates and titles that made his head hurt. Director of this, VP of that, executive assistant to someone important, and at the end of the hall, behind glass walls that showed the entire city lit up like a circuit board, Lena Whitmore's office. Nathan could see her from here, sitting at her desk, working on something, her dark hair pulled back, her jacket off, draped over her chair. She wore a white blouse and looked focused in a way that made Nathan feel like he was intruding just by existing in the same building. He almost turned around right there. But then she looked up. Their eyes met through the glass, and Nathan saw something flicker across her face. Surprise, confusion, and something else. Something he couldn't quite name. She stood up, walked to her office door, opened it. "Nathan?" Her voice carried down the hallway. Professional, controlled. But there was a question underneath it. "Is everything all right?" Nathan's feet moved before his brain caught up. He walked down the hallway, past the empty offices, past the awards on the walls, past every reason he should turn around and leave. He stopped in her doorway. Up close, Lena Whitmore was even more intimidating than he remembered. She stood maybe 5'7" in heels that added another 3 inches. Her eyes were dark and sharp and missed nothing. She held herself like someone who'd fought for every inch of success and wasn't about to apologize for it. "Nathan," she said again. Quieter this time. "What are you doing here?" And that's when Nathan realized he had no idea what to say, because the truth was insane. I came here because my coworkers dared me to seduce you. But actually, I came because I've had feelings for you for 6 months, and I'm terrified, and this is probably going to end my career, but I couldn't stay away anymore. Yeah, that would go great. I need to tell you something, he said instead. Lena studied him. Her expression gave away nothing. It's 9:30 on a Friday night, and you're soaking wet. I know. This couldn't wait until Monday? No. Something shifted in her eyes. Not quite softness, but not quite the ice he expected either. She stepped back from the door. Come in, she said, before you track water all over the hallway. Nathan walked into Lena Whitmore's office, and the door clicked shut behind him. The city lights glowed through the windows like a countdown. Nathan could see the entire downtown skyline from here. Buildings that touched the clouds, streets that never slept. A world that had no idea a single father was about to risk everything for a feeling he couldn't even name. Lena walked back to her desk but didn't sit down. She crossed her arms, leaning against the edge, and waited. Nathan took a breath. There's something you need to know. I'm listening. About an hour ago, some of the guys on the night crew, they started talking, joking around. His hands were shaking. He shoved them in his pockets. It got out of hand. Lena's expression didn't change. Out of hand how? They dared me to come here, to your office. Nathan forced himself to meet her eyes. They dared me to sleep with you for money. The silence that followed was so heavy Nathan could barely breathe through it. Lena didn't move, didn't blink. Her face might as well have been carved from stone. I see, she said finally. Her voice was cold enough to frost the windows. And you thought coming here to tell me about this dare was, what, honorable? No, I mean, Nathan ran a hand through his wet hair. I came here to tell you because you need to know they recorded it. That got a reaction. Lena's eyes narrowed. Recorded what? The dare, the conversation, everything. Nathan pulled out his phone, but his hands were shaking so badly he almost dropped it. Trent Miller, you know Trent. He recorded the whole thing. He's probably already sent it to half the company by now. I needed you to know before it becomes something it's not. Lena held out her hand. Show me. Nathan unlocked his phone, found the voice memo he'd made in the truck, the one he'd recorded in case everything went sideways. He handed it to her. Lena pressed play. The audio was rough, but clear enough. Trent's voice came through first. $500, Cole. You go up there, you close the deal, you walk away paid. Then laughter. Then Nathan's voice, quiet and tense. This is insane. More of Trent's voice. That's the dare, take it or leave it. Lena's jaw tightened. The audio played for 2 more minutes. Every ugly detail, every crude joke, every dollar amount. When it finally ended, she handed the phone back to Nathan without a word. I'm sorry, Nathan said. I know this is... I shouldn't have come here. I should have just ignored them. But I thought, why did you come anyway? Nathan stopped. What? Lena's eyes locked onto his. You said they dared you. You said it was recorded. You said you came to warn me. She pushed off from the desk, taking 1 step closer. But you also said it happened an hour ago, which means you had time to think, time to turn around, time to ignore this whole thing and go home. So I'll ask again. Another step. Close enough now that Nathan could smell her perfume, something subtle and expensive. Why did you come anyway? Nathan's throat went dry. Because she was right. He could have called, could have sent an email, could have done anything except show up at her office on a Friday night, dripping rain and desperation. I don't know, he said. That's not an answer. It's the only one I have. Lena studied him, really studied him. Not the way she looked at contractors or reports or problems to be solved, but the way someone looked at another person when they were trying to figure out if what they saw was real. You filed a safety report 3 weeks ago, she said abruptly. Nathan blinked. What? A safety report. 17 violations on the C Block Foundation. You filed it directly with my office. She tilted her head. Do you know how many contractors file reports directly instead of going through their supervisors? No. Almost none. Because going through channels is easier, safer, less likely to make enemies. Lena's voice was steady, but there was something underneath it, something almost like respect. But you didn't do that. You sent it straight to me. Why? Because it was important. Because you knew your supervisor would bury it. Nathan hesitated. Yes. Trent Miller is your supervisor. Yes. So this dare, this recording, it's retaliation. It wasn't a question. Nathan nodded anyway. Lena walked to the window, stood there looking out at the city. The rain had slowed to a drizzle, leaving streaks on the glass like tears. 3 days ago, she said quietly, I filed preliminary disclosure paperwork with HR. Nathan's heart stopped. Disclosure for what? For a potential relationship. Lena turned around. There's a contractor I've been thinking about. Someone I see maybe twice a month during site visits. Someone who asks good questions and actually listens to the answers. Someone who filed a safety report even though he knew it would make his life harder. Nathan couldn't breathe, couldn't think, could barely stand. I filed the paperwork, Lena continued, because I wanted to do this the right way. No conflicts of interest. No abuse of power. No room for anyone to say I took advantage. She crossed her arms again. But I needed him to choose me freely. Not because I'm his boss. Not because he's afraid of consequences. And certainly not because someone dared him to. The office felt too small, too warm, too full of everything Nathan had been afraid to even hope for. You're talking about me, he said. Yes. Why didn't you say something? Why didn't you? Nathan laughed. It came out shaky and half-broken. Because I'm a single dad who works construction and drives a truck that's held together with duct tape and prayers. Because you're you. Because the idea that someone like you would even notice someone like me is what? Lena's voice had an edge now. Impossible, ridiculous, terrifying. The word hung between them. Lena walked toward him, slow, deliberate. She stopped close enough that Nathan had to fight the urge to step back. I noticed you 6 months ago, she said. The first time you spoke up in a planning meeting. The first time you questioned a timeline that didn't make sense. You were the only person in that room who cared more about getting it right than looking smart. That's just doing the job. That's rare. Lena's eyes didn't waver. So here's what's going to happen. I'm going to ask you one question, and you're going to answer it honestly. No games, no dares, just the truth. Nathan nodded because his voice had stopped working. Did you come here tonight because of them? Lena asked. Or did you come here because of me? And there it was. The only question that mattered. Nathan could have lied. Could have made it easier on both of them. Could have walked out that door and let this whole night fade into the kind of story people told at bars for the next 20 years. But he didn't. I came because of you, Nathan said. I've been thinking about you for 6 months. Every site visit, every meeting, every time you smiled at something I said or asked me a question like my answer actually mattered. I came because I'm tired of being afraid, tired of thinking I'm not good enough, tired of living like happiness is something that happens to other people. Lena's expression softened. Just barely. Just enough. And the dare? She asked. The dare can go to hell. She smiled. Small, real. The same smile from last Tuesday, but closer now. More dangerous. Good, Lena said. Because I'm about to do something incredibly unprofessional. Nathan's pulse kicked into overdrive. What's that? I'm going to leave this office, walk down to the parking garage, drive to my condo in the Pearl District. She picked up her jacket, slid it on with practiced ease. And I'm going to hope, not expect but hope, that you follow me. Because I'm tired too, Nathan. Tired of being lonely in a corner office, tired of pretending success is enough when all I want is someone who sees me. Not the VP, not the boss. Just me. She walked to the door, opened it. The hallway stretched empty and waiting. No games, she said without looking back. No dares. Just a choice. Yours to make. And she walked out. Nathan stood frozen in the middle of her office, his heart pounding loud enough to shake the windows. He could walk away. Go home, pretend this never happened. Or he could follow her. He thought about Mia, about the life he'd built for her out of duct tape and determination, about being the kind of father who taught his daughter to be brave even when the world said you weren't enough. Then Nathan walked out of the office, into the hallway, and hit the button for the elevator. The doors opened immediately, like they'd been waiting. He stepped inside, rode down to the parking garage. And when the doors opened again, Lana was there, standing by her car, rain on her shoulders and something fragile in her eyes. "You followed me," she said. "Yeah." "Why?" Nathan walked toward her, closed the distance between them, let himself be brave for once in his life. "Because I choose you," he said, "not in spite of the dare, because of everything else." Lena didn't smile this time. She just reached out, took his hand, and held it like it mattered. "Then let's go," she said. And they drove into the rain together, leaving the office behind, the dare behind, everything behind except the fragile, terrifying hope that maybe, just maybe, they'd both finally found something real. Lena's condo was 20 minutes away through rain that had softened into mist. Nathan followed her taillights through streets that glistened like oil slicks, his truck rumbling 2 car lengths behind her sleek sedan. His hands gripped the steering wheel tight enough to make his knuckles ache. What the hell was he doing? The question circled his brain like a vulture, but he didn't slow down, didn't turn around. He just kept following those red lights through the downtown corridor, past the Pearl District's converted warehouses and boutique coffee shops, into a neighborhood where the buildings had doormen and the parking had valet. Lena's building rose 12 stories, all glass and modern angles. She pulled into the underground garage. Nathan followed, his truck looking more out of place with every foot of polished concrete. She parked in a spot marked Whitmore, 9B. He pulled into a visitor space 3 slots down. They got out at the same time. The garage was silent, except for the hum of ventilation and the distant drip of water. Lena stood by her car, jacket buttoned, hair slightly mussed from the rain. She looked at him across the space between them. "Last chance," she said quietly. "You can leave right now. No questions asked. No consequences." Nathan shut his truck door. The sound echoed. "I'm not leaving." "You should know something first." Lena walked toward him, her heels clicking on concrete. "I meant what I said about the HR paperwork. I filed it because I wanted this done right. But there's a process, approval, review. It takes time." "How much time?" 2 weeks minimum, maybe more." She stopped in front of him. "Which means if we do this, if we go upstairs, we're technically still in violation of company policy. Not legally, but ethically." Nathan's chest tightened. "So we wait." "We could." Lena's eyes searched his face. "Or we could acknowledge that I filed those papers 3 days ago because I already made my choice, and you just drove across town in the rain because you made yours." "That's not the same as approval." "No, it's not." She reached out, adjusted his collar where it had folded wrong. The touch was simple, practical. It made Nathan's breath catch anyway. "But I'm tired of waiting for permission to want something, tired of doing everything by the book and ending up alone anyway." Nathan understood that feeling better than she knew. They took the elevator to the 9th floor in silence. The hallway was quiet, carpeted in something soft and expensive. Lena's condo was at the end, door marked 9B in brushed nickel. She unlocked it with steady hands. The door swung open onto a space that took Nathan's breath away. Floor-to-ceiling windows looked out over the city. The rain had stopped completely now, leaving the skyline sharp and bright against the dark sky. The living room was all clean lines and neutral colors, grays and whites, and the kind of furniture that looked like art. Everything was perfect. Everything was controlled. Everything was lonely as hell. Nathan saw it in the single coffee cup on the kitchen counter, the book on the side table with a bookmark 3/4 through, the blanket folded precisely over the back of the couch, unused. Lena closed the door behind them, locked it. Then she just stood there, jacket still on, looking suddenly uncertain. "Can I get you something?" she asked. "Coffee? Water?" "I'm fine." "Right." She finally took off her jacket, hung it on a hook by the door. Underneath, she wore that white blouse, sleeves rolled to her elbows. She looked smaller somehow, without the office and the title and the distance. "I should probably—" "Tell me the truth," Nathan said. Lena turned. "About what?" "About why you filed that paperwork 3 days ago. About why you're really here with me instead of anyone else you could have. He took a step closer. Because I need to know I'm not just some project, some guy you noticed because he was different or interesting, or you think I pity you? I think you're used to fixing things, and I'm pretty goddamn broken. The words came out harder than he meant them, but they'd been sitting in his chest for 6 months, maybe longer, ever since Jennifer left, ever since he became a single dad living paycheck to paycheck in an apartment with water stains on the ceiling. Lena crossed the space between them in 3 strides. She grabbed his shirt, fisted the fabric, and pulled him down until they were eye level. You want the truth? Her voice was low, fierce. The truth is, I've been alone for 4 years. 4 years of promotions and success and corner offices. 4 years of going home to this place and pretending I chose this. That I wanted to be the woman who traded everything for a career. Her hands were shaking. Nathan could feel it through his shirt. I noticed you, Lena continued, because you were the first person in years who looked at me like I was human. Not a boss, not a barrier, just someone who might understand what it's like to be tired. She let go of his shirt, stepped back. So no, you're not a project. You're the first real thing I've wanted in longer than I can remember. Nathan's throat was tight. I have a daughter. I know. She's 8. She's my whole world. Anyone who's with me has to understand that. I do. My ex-wife left because she said I wasn't ambitious enough, said I was settling. She married a lawyer 2 months after the divorce was finalized. Nathan shoved his hands in his pockets because he didn't know what else to do with them. I'm not going to change who I am. I'm not going to become someone different just to... Nathan, Lena's voice cut through his spiral. I don't want you to change. I want you to stop thinking you're not enough exactly as you are. The silence that followed was different from before, heavier, fuller. Nathan looked at her standing there in her perfect condo with her perfect life, and he saw the cracks, the loneliness she hid behind competence, the exhaustion she wore like armor. I'm scared, he admitted. Of what? That this is a mistake. That Monday morning I'll walk onto that site and everyone will know. That Trent will make sure I lose my job and my daughter and everything I've worked for. Lena walked to the windows, looked out at the city. The recording. You said Trent sent it to people. Probably half the crew by now. Then we need to get ahead of it. She pulled out her phone, started typing. I'll contact HR first thing Monday. Full disclosure. The recording, the dare, everything. I'll make it clear you came to warn me, not to follow through. That won't stop the rumors. No. She set down her phone. But the truth will be on record. That's what matters. Nathan walked to stand beside her at the window. The city stretched below them, millions of lights in the darkness. Millions of people living lives Nathan would never see. You could lose your job too, he said, if they decide you handled this wrong. I could. Lena's reflection in the glass was calm. But I filed those papers 3 days ago for a reason. I have a paper trail, proof of intent, proof this wasn't some impulsive decision. Was it impulsive? No. She turned to look at him. It was terrifying. I spent 6 months watching you, listening to you, waiting for the right moment to say something, and then I realized there's no right moment. There's just the moment you're brave enough to take. Nathan's hand found hers, their fingers laced together, tentative and careful. I have Mia tomorrow, he said. Saturdays are my custody days. We usually go to the park, make breakfast together, watch movies. And he squeezed her hand. I can't just disappear on her. I wouldn't ask you to. But I want to stay here tonight, with you. And I don't know how to balance that. Lena turned fully, both hands holding his now. Then stay for a few hours. Talk to me. Let me know you. And then go home and be the father your daughter needs. Her thumbs brushed over his knuckles. I'm not asking you to choose between us, Nathan. I'm asking you to let me be part of your life. However that works. Something in Nathan's chest loosened, like a knot he'd been carrying for years finally came undone. Tell me about her, Lena said. Mia, I want to know. They moved to the couch, sat down with careful space between them, and Nathan talked. He told her about Mia's obsession with dinosaurs, how she could name 50 different species but still couldn't tie her shoes, how she laughed at dad jokes and cried during animated movies and asked questions that made Nathan's brain hurt. She wants to be a paleontologist, Nathan said, smiling despite himself. Or an astronaut. Or a veterinarian. It changes every week. Sounds like she keeps you on your toes. She's the only reason I didn't fall apart after the divorce. Nathan leaned back, let his head rest on the couch. Jennifer left when Mia was 4, said she couldn't do it anymore. The struggling, the tiny apartment, the husband who was fine being ordinary. There's nothing ordinary about raising a child alone. Jennifer didn't see it that way. Nathan closed his eyes. She wanted more. Bigger house, better car, private schools. I wanted Mia to be happy. We couldn't make both work. Lena was quiet for a moment. When Nathan opened his eyes, she was watching him with an expression he couldn't quite read. What? He asked. I was engaged once, she said. 5 years ago. His name was Marcus. He was a senior manager at a tech firm. Smart, ambitious, good-looking. She picked at a thread on the couch. He proposed at a company dinner, very public, very romantic. What happened? I got promoted to VP 6 months later. Suddenly I was traveling more, working longer hours, making more money than him. Lena's voice was flat, like she was reciting a grocery list. He said I'd changed, said the woman he proposed to wouldn't choose work over him, so I had to decide. Nathan waited. I chose work, Lena finished, because work never asked me to be smaller. Work never made me apologize for wanting more. You think you made the right choice? I think I made the only choice I could live with. She looked at him. But that doesn't mean I don't regret it. The loneliness, the empty condo, coming home to silence every single night. Nathan reached out, tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. She leaned into the touch. I'm not Marcus, he said. I know. I'm not going to ask you to choose. I know that too. Her hand covered his. But I need you to know what you're getting into. I work 60-hour weeks. I travel. I have a reputation for being difficult and demanding because that's what it takes to survive as a woman in this industry. I work construction. I'm covered in mud more often than I'm clean. I have a daughter who will always come first, and my idea of a fancy dinner is anywhere with a kids menu. Nathan smiled. So yeah, I know what I'm getting into. Lena laughed. It was small and surprised, like she'd forgotten how. We're a disaster. Probably. This is going to be complicated. Definitely. She leaned in, pressed her forehead against his. They breathed the same air, existed in the same fragile space. I want to try anyway, Lena whispered. So do I. The kiss happened slowly. A question asked and answered without words. Nathan's hand cupped her face. Lena's fingers curled into his shirt. It wasn't desperate or rushed. It was careful, intentional. The kind of kiss that acknowledged everything they were risking. When they pulled apart, Lena was crying. Hey! Nathan wiped her tears with his thumb. What's wrong? Nothing. She laughed through it. Everything. I don't know, I didn't think this could happen. Didn't think I'd find someone who saw me. Really saw me. I see you, Nathan said. Ambitious, brilliant, terrifying Lena Whitmore, who filed HR paperwork because she wanted to do things right. Who works too hard and comes home to an empty condo and hides how lonely she is behind competence. That's not attractive. That's human. He kissed her forehead. And it's more than enough. They stayed like that for a while, wrapped around each other on the couch, the city glowing through the windows. Nathan felt something shift inside him. Something that had been closed for a long time creaked open. Eventually, Lena pulled back. I should let you go. You have Mia tomorrow. I know. Nathan checked his phone. 11:30. He needed to be up in 6 hours to pick her up. But I don't want to leave yet. Then stay a little longer. So he did. They talked about everything and nothing. Lena showed him photos from a work trip to Seattle, complained about a supplier who kept missing deadlines. Nathan told her about Mia's last soccer game, how she'd scored a goal and immediately burst into tears because the other team looked sad. She sounds wonderful, Lena said. She is. Nathan hesitated. Would you want to meet her? Eventually, I mean. Not now, not tomorrow, but Yes. Lena didn't hesitate. When you're ready, when she's ready, I'd like that. Nathan's phone buzzed. He pulled it out, saw a text from his sister Claire. Mia's asleep. Asking about you, though. Said she had a dream you were fighting dragons. Nathan smiled, typed back a response. Tell her I won. See you at 8. Everything okay? Lena asked. Yeah, just my sister checking in. Nathan set down his phone. She watches Mia sometimes when I work late. Doesn't ask questions. Just shows up. Sounds like a good sister. The best. Nathan stood reluctantly. I should go. It's late. Lena walked him to the door. She'd put her jacket back on at some point, armor sliding back into place. Monday's going to be hard, she said. I know. People are going to talk. Trent's going to push. HR is going to ask questions. I know, Nathan said again, and I can't protect you. Not the way you might want. Because if I do, it proves everything they're going to say. That this is favoritism, that I'm abusing power. Nathan took her hands. I don't need you to protect me. I need you to trust me to handle it. Can you? I've been handling worse for 4 years. I think I can manage some gossip. Lena pulled him down, kissed him one more time. It was softer than before. A promise instead of a question. Text me when you get home, she said. I will. And Nathan? She held his gaze. Thank you for being brave enough to walk through that door tonight. Thank you for leaving it open. Nathan left before he could second-guess himself. Rode the elevator down, walked through the garage, got in his truck. The engine turned over with a familiar rattle. He sat there for a moment, looking up at Lena's building, trying to process everything that had just happened. His phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Heard you visited the Ice Queen tonight. How'd it go, hero? Trent. Of course. Nathan deleted it without responding. Then he pulled out of the garage and drove home through empty streets. His apartment was dark when he got there. Small, shabby in the ways he'd stopped noticing. Water stains on the ceiling, carpet that needed replacing, furniture from Goodwill, and hand-me-downs. But it was home. His and Mia's. Nathan took a shower, washed the rain and the night off his skin, changed into sweats, made himself a sandwich he didn't really want, and then he sat on the couch in his tiny living room and thought about Lena in her perfect condo, probably doing the exact same thing. His phone buzzed again. This time it was her. Did you make it home safe? Nathan smiled. Yeah. You still up? Can't sleep. Keep thinking about Monday. Don't. We'll handle it. You sound very confident for someone whose career might implode. I've survived worse, remember? A pause. Then, tell me about Mia's dream. The dragon one. So Nathan did. He texted Lena about his daughter's wild imagination, her fear of the dark, the way she made him check under the bed every night even though she knew nothing was there. And Lena texted back about her own childhood. Growing up in a small town, fighting her way to a scholarship, building herself into someone who couldn't be ignored. They texted until 2 a.m, until Nathan's eyes burned and his fingers were clumsy on the screen, until Lena finally sent, You need sleep. Mia needs her Dragon Slayer functional tomorrow. You need sleep too. I will. Eventually. Good night, Nathan. Good night, Lena. Nathan set down his phone and stared at the ceiling. Tomorrow he'd pick up Mia, make her pancakes shaped like dinosaurs, take her to the park, be the dad she needed. Monday he'd walk onto that construction site and face whatever was waiting. But tonight he'd been brave. Tonight he'd chosen something for himself instead of just surviving, and it terrified him how good that felt. Saturday morning came too early. Nathan's alarm went off at 7. He dragged himself out of bed, made coffee strong enough to strip paint, and drove to Claire's house across town. His sister lived in a neighborhood slightly better than his, a small house she'd bought with her husband 5 years ago. Mia was waiting on the porch when Nathan pulled up, backpack over her shoulders, dinosaur t-shirt already dirty somehow. Daddy! She launched herself at him the second he got out of the truck. Nathan caught her, lifted her up even though she was getting too big for it. Hey, Bug, you have fun with Aunt Claire? We made cookies. She let me stay up until 9:30. Claire appeared in the doorway, coffee mug in hand, looking amused. Snitch. 9:30 on a Friday? Nathan raised an eyebrow. It's summer break. Let me spoil her. Claire walked down the steps, gave Nathan a hug. You look tired. Long night. Work? Nathan hesitated. Claire knew him too well. She'd see through any lie he tried. Something like that, he said. Claire's eyes narrowed, but she didn't push. Not with Mia there. Well, she's all yours. We finished her math homework for the week. Don't say I never do anything for you. You're the best. Nathan set Mia down, grabbed her backpack. Say thank you to Aunt Claire. Thank you, Aunt Claire. Mia hugged her aunt, then ran to the truck. Claire caught Nathan's arm before he could follow. You okay? Yeah, why? Because you look like someone who just made a really big decision and doesn't know if it was the right one. Nathan managed a smile. I'll tell you about it later, when I figure it out myself. Promise? Promise. Mia talked the entire drive home. About the cookies, the movie they watched, how Aunt Claire's cat, Mr. Whiskers, had thrown up on the carpet, and it was super gross but also kind of cool. Nathan listened and nodded and tried not to think about Lena's text from this morning. Good luck with Mia today. I hope the dragons don't win. They got home, made breakfast. Mia insisted on chocolate chip pancakes shaped like triceratops, which was harder than it sounded. Nathan burned 2 before getting it right. Daddy? Mia asked through a mouthful of pancake. Did you work late last night? Something like that. Aunt Claire said you had important stuff to do. She did, huh? Was it about your job? Mia swung her legs under the table. Are they going to make you a boss? Nathan laughed despite himself. No, Bug. I'm not going to be a boss. Why not? You're really smart. Being smart doesn't make you a boss. Then what does? Nathan thought about Lena, about everything she'd sacrificed to get where she was. Being willing to be lonely, mostly. Mia frowned. That sounds sad. Yeah, it kind of is. They finished breakfast, went to the park. Mia ran around the playground while Nathan sat on a bench and tried not to check his phone every 30 seconds. Lena hadn't texted again. He shouldn't have expected her to. She was probably working or running errands or doing all the things successful people did on Saturdays. His phone buzzed anyway. How's dragon slaying going? Nathan smiled. Good. She's beating up the slide right now. Apparently it's a T-Rex. Naturally. All slides are secretly dinosaurs. How's your Saturday? Boring. Laundry. Emails. Exciting VP stuff. A pause. I keep thinking about last night. Me too. Good thoughts or panic thoughts? Both. Same. Another pause. I filed the official report with HR this morning. About the recording. About you coming to warn me. It's on record now. Nathan's stomach dropped. Already? Better to get ahead of it. They'll probably call you Monday for a statement. Okay, you sure you're ready for this? Nathan looked at Mia, shrieking with laughter as she conquered the T-Rex slide. No. But I'm doing it anyway. That's the bravest thing you've said yet. They texted on and off for the rest of the day. Light stuff, mostly. Lena sent a photo of her attempt at making lunch, burned grilled cheese that looked like charcoal. Nathan sent back a video of Mia narrating a fight between 2 squirrels. It felt normal, easy, like something that could actually work. By the time Nathan dropped Mia off at Claire's Sunday evening, his custody only ran until Sunday dinner, he felt almost optimistic. That lasted until Monday morning. Nathan showed up at the construction site at 6:30, same as always. The crew was already gathering by the trailers, coffee in hand, ready for another week. The second Nathan stepped out of his truck, everything went quiet. Trent Miller stood by the coffee station, grinning like he'd won the lottery. Derek and Marcus flanked him. Brian looked uncomfortable. At least 10 other guys Nathan barely knew were all staring. Well, well, Trent called out. Look who finally shows up. How was your weekend, Cole? Nathan ignored him, walked toward the trailer to clock in. I'm talking to you, man. Trent blocked his path. Come on, share with the class. How'd Friday night go? Move, Trent. Did you get your money's worth? Because I heard... Nathan's hand shot out, grabbed Trent's shirt, shoved him backward. I'm not doing this with you. The site went dead silent. Trent's grin widened. Oh, now you want to fight? Over her? Dude, you actually fell for it. You actually thought... Thought what? Nathan's voice was low, dangerous. That I could make my own choices? That my life doesn't revolve around impressing you? Your life revolves around nothing. Trent shoved Nathan's hand away. You're a single dad living in a shithole apartment, driving a truck that should have died 5 years ago. And you thought someone like Lena Whitmore would actually want you? Nathan didn't hit him. He wanted to. God, he wanted to. But Mia's face flashed in his mind, and he knew one punch would cost him everything. So instead he smiled. Yeah, I did, and I was right. Trent's expression flickered, just for a second, uncertainty. Bullshit, he said, but it sounded weaker now. Believe what you want. Nathan stepped around him. But when HR calls you in about that recording, you better have a good explanation for why you thought sexual harassment was funny. Sexual harassment? Trent laughed. It was a joke. Tell that to them. Nathan walked into the trailer, clocked in, and headed straight for the site office. His phone was already buzzing, a text from an unknown extension. Nathan Cole, please report to HR at 9 a.m. today. Main building, 5th floor. This is regarding a formal complaint filed over the weekend. Here we go. The walk from the construction site to the main building felt like a death march. Nathan had 3 hours to kill before the HR meeting, 3 hours to replay every possible disaster scenario in his head. He tried working, reviewing blueprints, checking material deliveries, but his brain wouldn't cooperate. Every time someone walked past, conversation stopped. Every time he looked up, someone looked away. By 8:45, Nathan couldn't take it anymore. He changed out of his work clothes in the site bathroom, washing mud off his hands and face, pulling on the one clean shirt he kept in his truck for emergencies. It was wrinkled and probably smelled like old coffee, but it was better than showing up to HR covered in construction dust. The main building felt like foreign territory. Nathan had only been inside twice, once for his initial hiring interview, once for a safety certification. Both times he'd felt out of place, too rough around the edges for the polished floors and quiet efficiency. Today was worse. The 5th floor was all muted grays and soft lighting, designed to make people feel calm while their careers hung in the balance. Nathan gave his name to the receptionist, a woman in her 50s who looked at him with something between pity and curiosity. They'll call you shortly, she said. You can wait over there. Nathan sat in a chair that cost more than his monthly rent and tried to breathe normally. At 9:03, a door opened. A man in his 40s stepped out, suit perfectly pressed, expression perfectly neutral. Mr. Cole, I'm David Brennan, Director of Human Resources. Please come in. The conference room was bigger than Nathan's entire apartment. Windows overlooked the construction yard below. Nathan could see the crew working, tiny figures moving around like ants. A long table dominated the center of the room. 3 people sat on one side. David Brennan took the head position. Next to him sat a woman Nathan didn't recognize, maybe 30, with sharp eyes and a tablet in front of her. And at the far end, looking composed and untouchable, sat Lena. She didn't look at him, didn't acknowledge him. She sat with her hands folded on the table, spine straight, every inch the VP. Mr. Cole, please sit. Brennan gestured to the chair directly across from them. Nathan sat. The chair was too soft, designed to make you sink, to make you feel small. This is Yolanda Martinez, our legal counsel, Brennan continued, nodding to the woman with the tablet. And of course you know Ms. Whitmore. We've asked her to be present given her involvement in the incident. Incident. They were calling it an incident. Before we begin, Yolanda said, her voice crisp and professional, I need to remind you that this conversation is being recorded. You have the right to have representation present. Do you wish to request representation? Nathan's mouth went dry. Do I need it? That's your decision to make. He looked at Lena. She still wouldn't meet his eyes, but something in the set of her jaw told him to be careful. No, I don't need representation. Very well. Yolanda tapped her tablet. On Saturday morning, Ms. Whitmore filed a formal complaint regarding an incident that occurred Friday night. The complaint includes audio evidence of what appears to be a dare involving you and Ms. Whitmore, initiated by several members of your work crew. Can you confirm your presence at this event? Yes. Can you describe, in your own words, what happened? Nathan took a breath. chose his words carefully. Friday night, after the shift ended, some of the crew stayed in the trailer. They were drinking. I was about to leave when Trent Miller started talking about Ms. Whitmore, making jokes. It escalated into a dare. What kind of dare? They dared me to come to her office. To what? Nathan's jaw tightened. To seduce her. For money. Yolanda's expression didn't change. And did you accept this dare? No. But you went to Ms. Whitmore's office anyway. Yes. Why? This was the moment. The story he told right now would determine everything. Nathan looked at Lena again. This time she met his eyes, just for a second. He saw the fear there, carefully hidden but real. Because they recorded it, Nathan said. Trent recorded the whole conversation without telling me. I knew he'd send it to people, use it against Ms. Whitmore somehow. So I went to warn her. You went to warn her, Brennan repeated, at 9:30 on a Friday night. I know how it looks. Do you? Brennan leaned forward. Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like a contractor went to a VP's private office, after hours, following a dare that involved sexual content. That's a serious violation of company policy, Mr. Cole. I didn't go because of the dare. I went in spite of it. That's a very convenient distinction. Nathan's hands curled into fists under the table. It's the truth. Yolanda tapped her tablet again. We've reviewed the audio recording, the one Mr. Miller distributed to approximately 15 employees via group text Friday night. In that recording, you clearly state you're going to Mrs. Whitmore's office. You accept money. I never accepted money, Nathan interrupted. Listen to it again. I said I was going. I never said I'd do what they wanted. The implication was clear. The implication was Trent Miller trying to set me up. Nathan leaned forward. He's been retaliating against me for 3 weeks, ever since I filed a safety report that made him look bad. This was his way of getting back at me. Brennan and Yolanda exchanged glances. Some silent communication Nathan couldn't read. Mr. Cole, Brennan said slowly, are you claiming this entire incident was a setup? That you were coerced into going to Miss Whitmore's office? No, I went because I wanted to, but not for the reasons Trent thinks. Then what were your reasons? Nathan looked at Lena. She gave the smallest shake of her head. A warning. Don't tell them. Not yet. I wanted to warn her, Nathan said again. That's all. And what happened when you got to her office? I told her about the dare, about the recording. I showed her the audio file I'd made in my truck. You made your own recording? Yes, as proof, in case Trent tried to twist things. Yolanda made a note on her tablet. And how did Ms. Whitmore respond? Nathan hesitated. The truth was complicated. The truth involved Lena telling him about HR paperwork, about 6 months of watching each other, about choices made in the space between professional and personal. She thanked me for the warning, Nathan said carefully, and asked me to leave. Lena's eyes flickered. That was a lie, and they both knew it, but it was the lie that might save them both. You left immediately? Brennan asked. Yes. Security footage shows your truck in the parking garage until almost 10:30. Shit, Nathan had forgotten about cameras. I sat in my truck for a while, he said, trying to process everything. Then I drove home. Alone? Yes. Another glance between Brennan and Yolanda. Nathan's pulse hammered in his ears. Mr. Cole, Yolanda said, setting down her tablet, I'm going to be direct with you. We have audio of a dare. We have you going to Ms. Whitmore's office late on a Friday night. We have footage of your vehicle remaining on property for an hour. And we have 15 employees who received that recording and are now spreading rumors throughout the company. None of that proves I did anything wrong. It proves you created a situation that could be perceived as harassment, regardless of your intentions. Nathan's stomach dropped. I was trying to help. That's not how it looks. Then how does it look? Brennan took over. It looks like a contractor used a dare as an excuse to approach a superior in an inappropriate setting. It looks like you put Ms. Whitmore in an uncomfortable position where she may have felt pressured to respond favorably due to the power dynamic. That's insane. It doesn't matter what you intended, Mr. Cole. What matters is the perception. And right now, the perception is very bad for both of you. Lena finally spoke. Her voice was cold, controlled, completely professional. Mr. Cole did nothing wrong. All eyes turned to her. He came to my office to warn me about a potential harassment situation, Lena continued. He showed me evidence. He behaved professionally and left when asked. If anyone violated company policy, it was the men who created and distributed that recording without consent. Ms. Whitmore, Brennan said carefully, I appreciate your perspective, but you're personally involved in this situation, which complicates. I'm aware of how it complicates things. Lena's tone could have frozen water, which is why I filed disclosure paperwork 3 days before this incident occurred. The room went silent. Brennan blinked. I'm sorry, what? Disclosure paperwork, Form HR 47B, preliminary notice of potential personal relationship with a subordinate employee. Lena pulled a folder from the bag beside her chair, slid it across the table. I filed it Wednesday afternoon. You can verify with your records. Yolanda grabbed the folder, flipped it open. Her eyes scanned the pages, widening slightly. Yolanda looked up. This is dated 3 days before the incident. Correct. Why didn't you mention this earlier? You didn't ask. Lena's expression didn't change. I filed it because I believed there was potential for a personal relationship to develop between myself and Mr. Cole. I wanted to follow proper protocol. Ensure there was no perception of favoritism or abuse of power. Brennan looked like someone had hit him with a shovel. You're saying you had romantic interest in Mr. Cole before Friday night? I'm saying I recognized the possibility and took appropriate steps to document it. Does he report directly to you? No, his supervisor is Trent Miller. I oversee operations at the division level, but I have no direct authority over Mr. Cole's day-to-day work or compensation. Yolanda was reading through the paperwork, her expression carefully neutral. This changes the context significantly. It proves my intentions were professional, Lena said. It proves I wasn't acting impulsively or inappropriately, and it proves that when Mr. Cole came to my office Friday night, I already had a paper trail establishing my interest in him was separate from any workplace dynamic. Nathan stared at her. She'd just played a card he didn't know she had, changed the entire narrative with one piece of paper. Brennan ran a hand over his face. Ms. Whitmore, I need to be clear. Filing disclosure paperwork doesn't give you permission to pursue a relationship before it's approved. The review process exists for a reason. I understand that, which is why nothing happened Friday night beyond a professional conversation about a harassment incident. Security footage shows my vehicle and Mr. Cole's vehicle in the same parking structure, Lena interrupted. Not together, not interacting, just existing in the same space. Unless you're prepared to discipline every employee whose car is parked near a colleague's, I don't see the relevance. Yolanda leaned back in her chair, studying Lena with something like respect. You're saying Mr. Cole came to warn you. You discussed the situation. He left. You both went to your separate vehicles and went home. Correct. And the disclosure paperwork was coincidental timing? The disclosure paperwork was filed because I'm a professional who follows protocol, Lena said coolly. The timing was fortunate, but it doesn't change the facts. Brennan looked at Nathan. Is this your understanding of events as well, Mr. Cole? Nathan knew what she was doing. Lena was giving him an out, a story that would protect them both. All he had to do was agree, but lying went against everything he'd tried to teach Mia, and the truth was already complicated enough. That's accurate, Nathan said slowly. Ms. Whitmore and I discussed the recording. She thanked me for the warning. I left. And you had no knowledge of her disclosure paperwork? No, she didn't mention it. So as far as you knew, you were approaching a superior without any established protocol? Nathan's jaw tightened. I was approaching someone I respected to warn her about a situation that could hurt her reputation. That's it. Yolanda closed her folder. Mr. Cole, I'm going to be honest with you. This situation is messy. Even with Ms. Whitmore's disclosure paperwork, the optics are bad. You have coworkers who believe you went to her office for inappropriate reasons. You have a recording that, edited correctly, could support that narrative. And you have a supervisor who's clearly retaliating against you. So what happens now? Now we investigate. Brennan stood, signaling the meeting was ending. We'll interview the other employees involved, review all available footage and recordings, and make a determination about whether any policies were violated. How long will that take? 2 weeks minimum. Possibly longer. Brennan looked at Lena. Ms. Whitmore, I'm recommending you recuse yourself from any decisions involving Mr. Cole's employment until this is resolved. Understood. And Mr. Cole, you'll remain on active duty, but any further contact with Ms. Whitmore outside of necessary work functions will be seen as a violation of our investigation protocols. Nathan's stomach sank. You're saying we can't talk? I'm saying you need to maintain appropriate professional distance until this is resolved. Brennan's tone left no room for argument. Are we clear? Crystal, Nathan said. Lena stood, collected her folder, and walked out of the room without looking back. Nathan watched her go, feeling like the ground had just dropped out from under him. Yolanda touched his arm as he stood to leave. Off the record, she said quietly. That disclosure paperwork probably saved both your jobs. But you need to be very careful moving forward. One wrong move and they'll use it against you. Noted. And Mr. Cole, that supervisor of yours, Trent Miller, he's going to be a problem. I know. Then handle it carefully, because right now he's looking for any excuse to bury you. Nathan left the building and walked back to the construction site in a daze. The morning had turned hot, the kind of oppressive heat that made everything feel heavier. By the time he reached the crew trailer, sweat stuck his shirt to his back. Trent was waiting outside, leaning against the wall, arms crossed. Well, Trent asked, they fire you yet? Nathan walked past him without responding. Silent treatment? That's cute. Trent followed. Come on, Cole. Tell me how it went. Did they ask about the recording? About you sneaking up to her office like some desperate... Nathan spun around. You're under investigation. Trent's smile faltered. What? HR is investigating you for creating and distributing that recording without consent, for harassment, for retaliation. Nathan stepped closer. So maybe you should worry about your own job instead of mine. That's bullshit. It was a joke. Tell that to legal. Trent's face flushed red. You think you're smart? Filing complaints? Running to the boss? Playing victim? You're nothing, Cole. You're a washed-up contractor who got lucky once. And when this is over, you'll still be nothing. Nathan should have walked away, should have let it go, but 3 hours of stress and fear and fighting for his job had worn through his patience. You're right, Nathan said quietly. I am nothing. I'm just a guy trying to do his job and take care of his kid. But you're the guy so threatened by someone doing the right thing that you had to manufacture a whole situation to tear them down. So yeah, between us, I'd rather be nothing. He turned and walked into the trailer before Trent could respond. The rest of the day crawled by. Nathan kept his head down, worked until his muscles ached, avoided everyone. Derek tried to talk to him during lunch, some half-hearted apology about Friday night, but Nathan wasn't interested. By the time 5 o'clock hit, Nathan was done. Physically, emotionally, completely done. He drove home in silence, picked up Mia from after-school care, made her dinner, helped with homework, put her to bed. All the normal routines that felt anything but normal. When his phone buzzed at 9:30, Nathan almost didn't check it. But he did. How bad was it? Lena. Nathan stared at the message for a long moment. 2 weeks. No contact. Those were the rules. He typed back anyway. Bad, but your paperwork helped. I'm sorry. I should have told you I filed it. Why didn't you? Because I didn't want you to feel pressured. Didn't want you to think I expected anything. Nathan's chest tightened. I don't feel pressured. Good. A pause. I can't see you for 2 weeks. I know. That's going to be hard. Yeah. Another pause, longer this time. Then, tell me about Mia. Tell me something good. So Nathan did. He told her about Mia's latest dinosaur obsession, about the picture she drew in art class, about how she'd asked if dragons were real and looked genuinely disappointed at the answer. Lena sent back stories about her own day, a supplier meeting that went sideways, a project manager who quit without notice, small things that made her human instead of untouchable. They texted until midnight, until Nathan's eyes burned and his brain begged for sleep. You should rest, Lena sent. Tomorrow's going to be just as hard. You too. Nathan? Yeah? Thank you for not lying today, for standing up when you could have just walked away. I couldn't walk away from you, not now, even if it costs you everything. Nathan thought about Mia sleeping down the hall, about his job hanging by a thread, about Lena in her empty condo, alone with her success and her paperwork and her carefully controlled life. Especially then, he typed. The next 2 weeks were hell. Trent made every day a battlefield, assigning Nathan the worst jobs, nitpicking his work, making comments just loud enough for others to hear. Nathan took it all without responding, knowing one wrong move would prove everything Trent wanted people to believe. HR called him in twice more. More questions, more footage review, more careful documentation of every second of Friday night. They called in Derek, Marcus, Brian. One by one, the crew gave statements. Nathan had no idea what they said, but the tension on site got worse every day. And through it all, Lena was untouchable. Nathan saw her once from a distance, walking the C-Block site with her team. She didn't look his way, didn't acknowledge him. Professional to the core. But every night, his phone buzzed. They couldn't talk about the investigation, couldn't talk about what happened, so they talked about everything else. Lena told him about growing up in Montana, about her father who worked construction and died when she was 15, about fighting her way to college, to her first job, to every promotion she'd earned through sheer will. Nathan told her about Jennifer, about the divorce, about learning to be a single parent when he barely knew how to be a partner, about Mia's first steps, first words, first day of school where she cried and Nathan had to hide in his truck so she wouldn't see him crying too. They built something in those late-night texts, something that had nothing to do with dares or HR meetings or company policy, something real. On day 12, Nathan got called into the site office. The project manager, a guy named Williams, handed him a folder. "You're being reassigned," Williams said without preamble. Nathan's blood ran cold. "Where?" "North Valley Project, starting Monday. It's a promotion, actually, site lead for the foundation work." Nathan stared at the folder. "I don't understand." "The North Valley Project is bigger, better pay, more responsibility." Williams met his eyes. "It also means you won't be working under Trent Miller anymore. Different supervisor, different crew, clean slate. This is because of the investigation. This is because you're a good worker who deserves better than dealing with Miller's bullshit every day." Williams stood. "Take the weekend. Report to North Valley Monday at 6 a.m. Congratulations, Cole." Nathan walked out of the office in a daze. His phone buzzed immediately. "Did you hear?" Lena. Of course she knew. "Yeah. North Valley. It's a good move. Better project, better team. Did you do this?" A long pause. "I recused myself from decisions about your employment. Remember? That's not an answer." "No, it's not." Another pause. "But maybe someone in operations noticed your safety reports have been consistently thorough. Maybe they noticed you're wasted on a crew led by someone under investigation. Maybe it had nothing to do with me at all." Lena, Nathan, just take the job. Let yourself have something good for once. He stared at his phone, at those words that meant everything and nothing all at once. "Okay," he typed. "I'll take it." "Good. How's Mia?" And just like that, they were back to safe territory, back to late-night conversations that kept them both sane. On day 14, Nathan got the call. David Brennan's voice was neutral, professional. "Mr. Cole, can you come to the main building tomorrow at 2 p.m.? We've completed our investigation and are ready to present our findings." Nathan's hands shook. "Will Miss Whitmore be there?" "Yes, all parties involved will be present." "And Trent Miller?" "Mr. Miller will be addressed separately." Nathan hung up and stared at his phone. This was it, the moment that decided everything. He texted Lena. "Tomorrow at 2. They have their answer." Her response came immediately. "I know, I'm scared. Me too. Whatever happens, we tried. That counts for something." "Does it?" "It does to me." Nathan looked around his apartment, at Mia's toys scattered on the floor, at the life he'd built out of nothing, at everything he stood to lose. "I don't regret it," he typed. "Any of it. Even if they fire you, Even then, you're either very brave or very stupid. Probably both. Nathan? Yeah? See you tomorrow. See you tomorrow. Nathan set down his phone and took a breath. Tomorrow would bring answers. Tomorrow would decide if the last 2 weeks of hell had been worth it. Tomorrow he'd walk into that conference room and find out if choosing courage over safety was the smartest decision he'd ever made or the biggest mistake of his life. But tonight, he had Mia sleeping peacefully down the hall. He had texts from a woman who made him feel seen. And he had the knowledge that whatever happened next, he'd faced it honestly. That had to be enough. It had to be. Tuesday arrived with clouds that threatened rain but never delivered. Nathan dropped Mia at school early, watching her skip through the playground gates with her dinosaur backpack bouncing against her shoulders. She'd asked him that morning why he looked nervous, and he'd lied and said he had an important meeting at work. Which was true. He just left out the part where that meeting could destroy everything. The drive to the main building took 20 minutes through traffic that crawled like molasses. Nathan's hands were sweating on the steering wheel. He'd worn his best shirt, the blue button-down Claire had bought him last Christmas, and pants without paint stains. He looked almost professional, almost like someone who belonged in a building with marble floors and security badges. He parked in the visitor lot at 1:30, giving himself extra time because showing up late felt like asking for disaster. The lobby was cool and quiet, all that expensive air conditioning that construction sites never had. Rodriguez was at the security desk again, same guy who'd seen Nathan walk in that Friday night 2 weeks ago. Back again, Cos? Rodriguez asked, but his tone wasn't mocking, just tired. HR meeting. Yeah, I heard. Rodriguez printed a visitor badge, slid it across the desk. Good luck, man. For what it's worth, I hope it works out. Nathan clipped the badge to his shirt. Thanks. The elevator ride to the 5th floor felt longer this time. Nathan's reflection in the polished doors looked pale, strained. He'd barely slept the night before, running through every possible outcome until his brain felt like static. Best case, they cleared him and Lena and let them move forward. Worst case, they both got fired and blacklisted from the industry. Most likely case? Something in between that left them both wounded but standing. The 5th floor reception area was empty except for the same woman from 2 weeks ago. She gave Nathan a professional smile that didn't reach her eyes. Mr. Cole, they're waiting for you in conference room B, down the hall, last door on the left. Nathan's stomach dropped. Last time had been conference room A. Different room meant different meeting. He didn't know if that was good or bad. The walk down that hallway felt like walking to an execution. His boots, the clean ones, the ones he saved for situations exactly like this, squeaked slightly on the polished floor. Every door he passed was closed, hiding whatever important business happened behind them. Conference room B was smaller than A, more intimate. The windows faced the city instead of the construction yard, and sitting at the table in the same positions as before were David Brennan, Yolanda Martinez, and Lena. Lena looked up when Nathan entered. Their eyes met for half a second before she looked away, but in that moment Nathan saw exhaustion that matched his own. 2 weeks of no contact except late-night texts. 2 weeks of living in limbo. It had worn on her the same way it had worn on him. Mr. Cole, Brennan stood, gestured to the same chair across from them. Thank you for coming. Please sit. Nathan sat. The chair was just as uncomfortable as he remembered. Yolanda had her tablet again, screen glowing with whatever documentation had decided their fate. Brennan had a folder in front of him, thick enough to make Nathan nervous. Lena sat perfectly still, hands folded on the table, expression giving nothing away. Before we begin, Brennan said, I want to clarify that this meeting is to present our findings from the investigation into the incident that occurred on Friday, August 9th. Ms. Whitmore is present because the findings directly involve her. Are you comfortable proceeding? Nathan found his voice. Yes. Good. Brennan opened the folder, adjusted his glasses. Over the past 2 weeks, we've conducted extensive interviews with all parties involved. We've reviewed security footage, audio recordings, and documentation. We've examined Ms. Whitmore's disclosure paperwork and cross-referenced it with company policy. Nathan's heart hammered against his ribs. We've also, Brennan continued, investigated the broader context of this incident, including the relationship between you and your supervisor, Trent Miller, and the events leading up to August 9th. Yolanda took over. Mr. Cole, 3 weeks prior to this incident, you filed a safety report documenting 17 violations at the C Block construction site. Can you confirm that report was accurate? Yes. And you sent it directly to Ms. Whitmore's office rather than through your supervisor? Yes, because my supervisor was responsible for most of those violations. Did you face retaliation for filing that report? Nathan hesitated. This felt like a trap. Trent made my job harder after I filed it. Yeah. How so? Worse assignments, extra scrutiny, comments about how I thought I was better than everyone else. Nathan's jaw tightened. He made it clear he didn't appreciate me going over his head. Yolanda made a note on her tablet. And the night of August 9th, when the dare occurred, do you believe that was part of that retaliation? I know it was. Can you explain? Nathan took a breath. Trent knew I respected Ms. Whitmore. He'd seen us talk during site visits, made comments about it before. The dare was designed to humiliate me and potentially damage her reputation. He recorded it because he wanted evidence, wanted to spread it around and make us both look bad. Did it occur to you, Brennan asked, that going to Ms. Whitmore's office that night might play directly into what Mr. Miller wanted? Yes. But you went anyway. I went to warn her, to give her a chance to get ahead of whatever Trent was planning. Nathan met Brennan's eyes. I knew it looked bad, but I also knew if I didn't tell her and she got blindsided by that recording on Monday morning, it would be worse. Brennan studied him for a long moment. That's an interesting calculation. It's the truth. Lena shifted slightly in her seat, still didn't speak, but Nathan felt her presence like an anchor, keeping him steady. Yolanda tapped her tablet. We interviewed 15 employees who received the recording Mr. Miller distributed. Their accounts vary, but several common themes emerged. First, multiple employees confirmed that you explicitly refused the dare before leaving the trailer. Nathan blinked. What? Derek Paulson stated, and I quote, Cole said no 3 times before he walked out. Trent kept pushing and Cole kept refusing. Then Cole left and Trent sent that text to Rodriguez anyway. Yolanda looked up. Marcus Chen corroborated this, as did Brian Foster. Nathan's throat felt tight. I didn't think anyone would back me up. Some did. Not all, but enough. Yolanda scrolled through her notes. Second theme, multiple employees expressed discomfort with the dare itself. Several stated they thought it was inappropriate but didn't speak up because, and this is another direct quote, you don't cross Trent if you want to keep your job. Brennan picked up the narrative. Third theme, and most relevant to our investigation, is the timeline. Security footage shows you left the construction site at 9:07 p.m. You arrived at this building at 9:23. You entered Ms. Whitmore's office at 9:28 and exited at 9:41. 13 minutes. Nathan's pulse quickened. 13 minutes. That was all they'd been in the office together before walking to the parking garage. During those 13 minutes, Brennan continued, our investigation found no evidence of inappropriate behavior. Ms. Whitmore's account states you showed her the recording you'd made, warned her about Mr. Miller's intentions, and left when she requested. Is this accurate? Nathan glanced at Lena. She gave the smallest nod. Yes, Nathan said. The footage then shows both vehicles remaining in the parking garage for approximately 50 additional minutes. However, they were parked in different sections with no sightline between them. And building security confirms no interaction between you and Ms. Whitmore during that time. Because they'd been in her car, driving to her condo. Because they'd made choices that night that had nothing to do with the dare and everything to do with feelings they'd been hiding for months. But the cameras hadn't caught that. The investigation hadn't found it. Nathan kept his expression neutral. I stayed in my truck trying to process everything. Then I went home. And Miss Whitmore's account corroborates this, Yolanda said. She states she remained in her office completing work, then went to her vehicle and drove home. Separate departures. No contact beyond the initial warning you provided. It was the story they'd agreed on, the story that kept them both safe, and apparently the story the investigation had confirmed. Brennan closed the folder. Based on our findings, we've determined that you did not violate company policy on the night of August 9th. You went to a superior's office with legitimate cause to warn her of a potential harassment situation. You behaved professionally. You left when requested. No policy violation occurred. Nathan couldn't breathe. So I'm cleared? You're cleared of any wrongdoing related to the incident itself, yes. Brennan's tone shifted, became more serious. However, we need to address the broader situation, specifically Ms. Whitmore's disclosure paperwork. Here it comes, Nathan thought, the other shoe dropping. Lena finally spoke. Her voice was steady, controlled. The disclosure paperwork I filed on August 6th indicated potential for a personal relationship with a subordinate employee, specifically Nathan Cole. I filed it because I wanted to follow proper protocol should such a relationship develop. And has it? Brennan asked bluntly. Developed, I mean. Lena didn't hesitate. Yes. The room went silent. Nathan stared at her. She'd just admitted it, put it on record. No more hiding, no more careful stories, just the truth. When did this relationship begin? Yolanda asked. The night of August 9th, Lena said, after I filed the paperwork. After the incident with Mr. Miller's dare. Nathan came to warn me. We discussed the situation, and we both acknowledged feelings that had been developing for several months prior. So you're confirming that a relationship exists? Yes. As of that night, we've been in contact. Developing a personal connection separate from our professional relationship. Brennan leaned back in his chair. Miss Whitmore, you understand this puts us in a difficult position. You're a VP. Mr. Cole is a contractor. Even with disclosure paperwork, there are optics to consider. I'm aware of the optics. Lena's tone could have cut glass. Which is why I filed the paperwork before anything happened. Which is why I've recused myself from any decisions regarding Mr. Cole's employment. Which is why I'm sitting here now, making this formal disclosure, so there's no question about my intentions or my ethics. The paperwork was filed before the relationship began, Yolanda said slowly, like she was working through a puzzle. Which technically means you followed protocol. Exactly. But the relationship began the same night as a harassment incident involving both parties. The harassment incident was perpetrated by Trent Miller against both of us, Lena corrected. Nathan and I were victims of that incident, not participants. What happened after, the personal connection we developed, was separate. Two adults making an informed choice. Brennan rubbed his temples. This is highly irregular. But not against policy, Lena said firmly. I've reviewed every relevant guideline. I filed appropriate paperwork. I've maintained professional boundaries. And I'm prepared to continue doing so going forward. What does that mean exactly? It means Nathan no longer works under my division's direct supervision. His reassignment to North Valley was already in process before the relationship began. It means any future decisions regarding his employment will go through proper channels with my recusal. And it means I'm willing to submit to whatever additional oversight you deem necessary to ensure there's no conflict of interest. Nathan watched her lay it all out, clinical and precise, like she was presenting a business proposal instead of defending their right to be together. And he realized this was how Lena fought, not with emotion or appeals to fairness, but with documentation and protocol and an unshakable understanding of the rules. Yolanda looked at Nathan. And you? Are you comfortable with this arrangement? Yes. You understand the scrutiny this will bring? The rumors that will follow you both? I've been dealing with rumors for 2 weeks already, Nathan said. I can handle more. And if your coworkers make your life difficult because of this relationship, then I'll deal with it. Same as I've been dealing with Trent Miller. Brennan and Yolanda exchanged glances again, some unspoken communication that made Nathan's stomach twist. About Mr. Miller, Brennan said, we've completed a separate investigation into his conduct. The recording he created and distributed constitutes harassment. The retaliation against you for filing safety reports constitutes a hostile work environment. And our review of the C Block site found your safety report was not only accurate, but understated the severity of several violations. Nathan's eyebrows rose. Understated. 2 of the violations you documented should have resulted in immediate work stoppage. Mr. Miller not only failed to address them, but actively concealed them from management. Brennan's expression hardened. He put lives at risk, and when you reported it, he retaliated. What happens to him? Effective immediately, Trent Miller is terminated from Whitmore Construction. He's been escorted from company property and will not be permitted to return. We're also reporting the safety violations to OSHA, which may result in additional penalties. Nathan couldn't process it. Trent was gone. Just like that. The man who'd made his life hell for 3 weeks, who'd created the dare that almost destroyed everything, was simply gone. Additionally, Yolanda said, we're implementing new safety reporting protocols, anonymous tip lines, third-party review of all supervisor decisions, mandatory training on workplace harassment. She looked at Nathan. Your report potentially saved lives, Mr. Cole. The company owes you a debt of gratitude. I was just doing my job. You were doing more than that. You were being brave when it would have been easier to stay silent. Brennan stood, signaling the meeting was ending. Your reassignment to North Valley stands. Effective Monday, you're site lead for foundation work with a 20% salary increase. You'll report directly to Project Manager Williams, who has no connection to Miss Whitmore's division. Nathan stood on shaky legs. Thank you. Don't thank us. You earned it. Brennan extended his hand. Nathan shook it, still half convinced this was some elaborate dream. Ms. Whitmore, your disclosure paperwork has been approved. Pending quarterly reviews to ensure no conflict of interest, the relationship may proceed. However, I strongly advise both of you to maintain strict professional boundaries in the workplace. Understood, Lena said. Then we're done here. Brennan gathered his folder. Mr. Cole, enjoy the rest of your day. Mrs. Whitmore, if you could remain for a moment. We have some administrative items to discuss. Nathan caught Lena's eye as he headed for the door. She gave him a small smile, barely there, but real. He smiled back and walked out into the hallway. His legs felt like water. His brain couldn't quite process what had just happened. Cleared, promoted. Trent fired. Lena's paperwork approved. Everything they'd fought for, everything they'd risked, had somehow worked out. Nathan made it to the elevator before his hands started shaking. Made it to the lobby before the reality hit him hard enough to make him sit down on one of those expensive chairs. Rodriguez looked over from the security desk. You good, man? Yeah, Nathan managed. Yeah, I'm good. Better than good. For the first time in years, Nathan felt like maybe the universe wasn't actively working against him. Like maybe choosing courage over safety had been exactly the right call. His phone buzzed. A text from Lena. Meet me in the parking garage in 10 minutes. We need to talk. Nathan's heart kicked up again. He stood, headed for the garage, taking the stairs because he couldn't handle the elevator right now. The garage was mostly empty at 2:30 on a Tuesday. Nathan found Lena's car on the executive level, same spot as before. She was leaning against the driver's door, jacket off, sleeves rolled up. She looked exhausted and relieved and slightly stunned. Hey, Nathan said. Hey, Lena pushed off from the car. So that happened. Yeah, Trent's gone. You're promoted. We're approved. Pending quarterly reviews. Pending quarterly reviews, she agreed, which means they'll be watching us. Let them watch. Nathan closed the distance between them. I'm done hiding. Lena looked up at him. You know this is going to be complicated. People are going to talk. Some of them are going to say terrible things. I know. Your daughter is going to hear about it eventually. You'll have to explain. I'll explain that her dad met someone who makes him happy, someone who sees him, someone worth fighting for. Lena's eyes got bright. You're sure about this? I've never been more sure of anything in my life. Even though I work too much and come with all this baggage and have no idea how to be in a relationship that doesn't self-destruct? Even though Nathan reached out, tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. The same gesture from that first night, but different now. Aloud. You filed paperwork 3 days before you knew I'd walk through that door. You protected us before there was even an us to protect. That's not baggage, Lena. That's you being brave. I was terrified. Me too. Still am, a little. Me too, Nathan said again. He took her hands. But I meant what I said that night. I choose you. Not because of some dare. Not because it's easy. Because when I'm with you, I feel like I'm enough exactly as I am. Lena pulled him down, kissed him right there in the parking garage where anyone could see. It was different from the careful kiss in her condo. This one was relief and joy and the freedom of not having to hide anymore. When they broke apart, Lena was smiling, really smiling. So what now? Now I pick up my daughter from school and tell her I got a promotion. And tell her about me? Nathan hesitated. Not yet. I want to, but she's 8. I need to ease her into it. Make sure she's comfortable. I understand. Lena squeezed his hands. Take your time. I'm not going anywhere. What about you? What are you doing tonight? Probably working. I have 3 projects behind schedule and a supplier who won't return my calls. Lena. What? Take the night off. Order takeout. Watch a movie. Do something that's not work. She laughed. I don't remember how. Then learn. Nathan kissed her forehead. You just spent 2 weeks fighting for us. You earned a break. Maybe I will. Lena looked at him like she was memorizing his face. Text me later. Tell me how it goes with Mia. I will. And Nathan? She touched his cheek. I'm proud of you for standing up to Trent, for filing that safety report, for being brave when it would have been easier to walk away. Learned from the best, Nathan said. They stood there for another moment, neither wanting to be the first to leave. Finally, Lena stepped back, putting professional distance between them again. Go, she said. Your daughter needs you. See you soon? See you soon. Nathan walked to his truck feeling lighter than he had in weeks. He drove to Mia's school, parked in the pickup line, and waited with all the other parents. When Mia came running out, backpack bouncing, face bright with joy at seeing him, Nathan felt his chest get tight. Daddy! She climbed into her booster seat. Guess what? We learned about Brachiosaurus today, and Ms. Henderson said I knew more than the book. That's because you're brilliant, Nathan said, helping with her seatbelt. Did you have your important meeting? I did. Was it good? Nathan started the truck, pulled out of the parking lot. Yeah, Bug, it was really good. Are you happy? He looked at his daughter in the rearview mirror, 8 years old and already reading him like a book. Yeah, I'm happy. Good. Mia kicked her feet against the seat. You should be happy more. You look better when you smile. Nathan smiled then, big and real. You're pretty smart, you know that? I know, Mia said confidently. Can we have pizza for dinner? Absolutely. They got pizza, extra cheese, Mia's favorite, watched a movie about dinosaurs, again, and did the bedtime routine. When Nathan tucked her in, Mia looked at him with those serious eyes that were too old for her age. Daddy? Are things going to be different now? Nathan's heart stopped. What do you mean? You seem different, not bad different, just different. She hugged her stuffed triceratops, like something changed. He should have known she'd notice. Mia noticed everything. Things are changing a little bit, Nathan admitted, but all the important stuff stays the same, you and me, our Saturday mornings, movie nights. That doesn't change. Promise? Promise. He kissed her forehead. You're my whole world, Bug. Nothing and no one changes that. Okay, Mia yawned. Love you, Daddy. Love you too. Nathan left her door cracked open the way she liked, light from the hallway keeping the dark away. He cleaned up the pizza boxes, washed dishes, did all the normal things. And then he pulled out his phone. She asked if things were changing. He texted Lena. Said I seem different. What did you tell her? That some things are changing, but the important stuff stays the same. Smart answer. She's smarter than me. She'll figure out I'm seeing someone eventually. When she does, we'll handle it together. If you want. Nathan looked at those words. Together. Like it was a given. Like Lena was already thinking about being part of his and Mia's life in a real, permanent way. I want, he typed. But no rush. Let's take it slow. Slow sounds good. I'm not great at slow, but I'll try. Me either. We'll figure it out. Nathan? Yeah? Thank you. For today, for fighting, for choosing me even when it was hard. Always, Nathan typed. Get some sleep. Tomorrow we get to start actually dating instead of just surviving. Is that what we're calling it? Dating. Unless you have a better word. Number. Dating works. A pause. Good night, Nathan. Good night, Lena. Nathan set down his phone and looked around his tiny apartment. Nothing had changed physically. Same water-stained ceiling, same Goodwill furniture, same life he'd been living for 4 years. But everything felt different, because for the first time since Jennifer left, Nathan had let himself want something beyond just getting by. He'd taken a risk, chosen courage, and somehow, impossibly, it had worked. The dare that was supposed to destroy him had become the door that led him here, to a promotion he'd earned, to a woman who saw him, to a future that felt possible instead of just inevitable. Nathan thought about Trent Miller, probably sitting in some bar right now, bitter and angry about losing his job. He thought about all the men who'd laughed at that dare, who'd watched Nathan walk into Lena's office expecting disaster. They'd wanted to see him fail, wanted proof that guys like Nathan didn't get to have good things, that single dads with dying trucks and tiny apartments were meant to stay in their place. But Nathan had refused to stay in that place. And so had Lena. Tomorrow he'd start the North Valley Project. New crew, new responsibilities, new chances to prove himself. And somewhere in the city, Lena would be in her corner office, doing the same thing she'd always done, but with one difference. She wouldn't be alone anymore. Neither of them would. Nathan turned off the lights and headed to bed. His phone buzzed one more time. Lena sending a photo. It was her view from the condo window, the city lights stretched out like stars. "My world feels bigger tonight," she'd written, "because you're in it." Nathan sent back a photo of Mia's drawing from earlier that day. A family of dinosaurs. Big one, little one, happy together. "Mine too," he typed. And for the first time in years, Nathan fell asleep smiling. The North Valley Project started with rain. Not the dramatic kind from that Friday night 3 weeks ago, but steady drizzle that turned everything gray and slick. Nathan arrived at 6 a.m. sharp, truck rattling into a parking lot twice the size of the C-block site. The foundation site stretched across what used to be an old warehouse district, all broken concrete and possibility. Williams was waiting by the trailer, coffee in hand, looking more awake than anyone had a right to be at this hour. He was maybe 50, with the kind of weathered face that came from 30 years outside and the steady calm of someone who'd seen every problem twice. "Cole," Williams extended his hand. "Welcome to North Valley. You ready for this?" Nathan shook his hand, grip firm. "Yes, sir." "Drop the sir. Makes me feel old." Williams gestured to the site. "Foundation's behind schedule by 2 weeks. Previous lead quit without notice, left us scrambling. That's where you come in. I need someone who knows concrete, understands structural integrity, and won't cut corners because someone's breathing down their neck about deadlines." "I can do that." "I know you can. Read your safety reports. Thorough as hell. That's what we need here." Williams handed Nathan a folder thick with blueprints and schedules. "Your crew's already on site. 10 guys, mix of experience levels. They know you're coming, know you're in charge. Some of them worked with Trent Miller before, so fair warning, they might test you." Nathan's stomach tightened at Trent's name, but he kept his expression neutral. "I can handle it." "Good, because I don't tolerate the kind of bullshit that went down at C-Block. You see safety issues, you report them directly to me. No chain of command, no politics, just straight talk." Williams clapped him on the shoulder. "Show me you're as good as your paperwork says, and there's room to grow here. Site manager, project lead, maybe more." I appreciate the opportunity." "Don't thank me yet. You haven't met the crew." Williams grinned. "Get settled. Morning briefings at 7. Don't be late." Nathan spent the next hour reviewing blueprints and timelines, trying to wrap his head around a project 10 times bigger than anything he'd managed before. The foundation alone required enough concrete to fill an Olympic pool. The timeline was aggressive. The margin for error was non-existent. It was exactly what he needed. Something to prove himself. Something that had nothing to do with Lena or dares or investigations. Just work. Just the job he'd been doing for 15 years. At 7, the crew gathered in the trailer. 10 men ranging from early 20s to late 50s, all of them eyeing Nathan with varying degrees of skepticism. He recognized 2 faces from C-Block, guys who'd been there that Friday night, who'd heard the dare, who knew exactly why he'd left Trent's crew. Nathan stood at the front of the trailer and met their eyes one by one. "I'm Nathan Cole, your new site lead. Some of you know me, most don't. Here's what you need to know. I care about three things in this order: safety, quality, timeline. We do this right. We do this safe, and we do it on schedule. Anyone who has a problem with that can talk to Williams. One of the younger guys raised his hand. What happened at C Block? We heard things. Nathan had been expecting this. What you heard is probably half true and twice as dramatic. The short version: I filed a safety report. My supervisor didn't like it. Things escalated. Company investigated. He's gone. I'm here. Any other questions? You really go to Whitmore's office that night? This from one of the guys Nathan recognized. Marcus, maybe. Or Brian. I did, to warn her about a situation that could have damaged both our reputations. HR investigated and cleared me. If you want more details than that, you can ask Williams. Otherwise, we've got work to do. The crew exchanged glances. Nathan could see them calculating, deciding whether to trust him or make his life difficult. An older guy in the back spoke up. What's the first priority today? Nathan pulled out the blueprints. Soil testing came back last week. We've got weak spots in sectors 4 and 6 that need reinforcement before we pour. I need a team on that. Second team starts setting forms for the north section. Third team works material delivery and staging. Questions? The older guy nodded approvingly. Sounds like a plan. Good. Let's get to it. The crew filed out. Nathan caught the older guy before he left. What's your name? Frank Delgado. Been doing foundations for 28 years. Then I'm going to lean on your experience, Frank. That okay with you? Frank studied him for a moment. You really care about safety? Or are you just saying that because it sounds good? I've got an 8-year-old daughter. I think about her every time I approve a decision on site, because someone else has a kid too, and they deserve to go home to them. Nathan met Frank's eyes. So yeah, I really care. Frank nodded slowly. Then we'll get along fine, Cole. Let's build something good. The first week at North Valley passed in a blur of concrete and coordination. The work was harder, the stakes higher, but Nathan thrived. The crew tested him at first, questioning decisions, pushing boundaries, but he stayed firm and fair. By Friday, they were working like a unit. Williams pulled him aside Thursday afternoon. You're doing good work, Cole. Crew respects you. That's not easy to earn in 4 days. They're good guys, just needed clear direction. Still, keep it up. Williams hesitated. How you handling everything else? The aftermath of that investigation? Nathan wiped concrete dust off his hands. Fine. Moving forward. Good, because there's been some talk. Nothing official, just rumors about you and Whitmore. Nathan's jaw tightened. What kind of talk? The usual garbage. People saying you got this promotion because of her, that she pulled strings. Williams waved it off. I'm telling you because you should know it's out there, not because I believe it. I've seen your work. This has nothing to do with anyone pulling strings. Appreciate you saying that. Just keep your head down and let the work speak for itself. That'll shut them up faster than anything else. Nathan took that advice to heart. He worked 12-hour days, came home exhausted, and fell asleep with blueprints still dancing behind his eyelids. He and Lena texted every night, but carefully now. Nothing that could be screenshot and used against them. Nothing that crossed professional lines. How was day 4? She'd text. Long but good. Crew's coming around. How was your supplier meeting? Productive. Got them to agree to the new timeline. Nice work, you too. Nice. Get some sleep. Tomorrow's Friday. They hadn't seen each other since that Tuesday in the parking garage. 13 days of texts and stolen phone calls late at night when Mia was asleep and Lena was finally done with work. It was driving Nathan crazy, but he understood the need for distance, for letting the dust settle. On Saturday morning, Nathan made dinosaur pancakes for Mia like always. She chattered about her week at school, about the science project she was starting, about how her friend Emma's mom was dating someone new, and it was weird, but also kind of cool. Why is it weird? Nathan asked, flipping a Triceratops. Because Emma's used to it just being her and her mom. Now there's this other person. Mia swung her legs. But Emma says he's nice. He takes them to the zoo and stuff. Nathan's heart picked up. That sounds fun. Yeah, Mia poked at her pancake. Daddy, are you ever going to date someone? The spatula almost slipped from Nathan's hand. Why do you ask? Because Aunt Claire said you should. She said you're too young to be alone forever. Aunt Claire talks too much, Nathan muttered. So are you? Nathan sat down across from his daughter. She looked at him with those serious eyes, waiting for an honest answer. Maybe, he said carefully, if I met the right person. Someone who was kind and smart and understood that you're the most important person in my life. Would I have to like them? Yes, very much. Mia considered this. What if I didn't? Then it wouldn't work. Because you and me, we're a team. Anyone who joins our team has to be good for both of us. Okay, Mia went back to her pancake. I think you should date someone. You've been smiling more lately. I like when you smile. Nathan pulled her into a hug, this brilliant, perceptive kid who saw right through him. I love you, Bug. Love you too. Can we go to the park later? Absolutely. They went to the park, played on the swings, fed the ducks stale bread Mia insisted was a duck delicacy, and Nathan thought about what Mia had said, about being ready, about smiling more. That night, after Mia was asleep, Nathan called Lena instead of texting. She answered on the second ring. Hey. Hey? Nathan settled onto his couch. You busy? Always, but never too busy for you. He could hear her moving, probably to somewhere more private in her condo. What's up? Mia asked me today if I was going to date anyone. Silence. Then, what did you tell her? That maybe I would, if I met the right person. Nathan picked at a loose thread on the couch cushion. She said she'd have to like them, that they'd have to be good for both of us. Smart kid. The smartest. Nathan took a breath. Lena, I want you to meet her. Not yet, not tomorrow, but soon. I want her to know you, to see why you matter to me. Are you sure? That's a big step. I'm sure. But I need to do it right. Maybe we could do something casual. Park, maybe? Or lunch somewhere kid-friendly. Just the three of us. He could hear Lena's smile through the phone. I'd like that. I'm terrified, but I'd like that. You're terrified. You run an entire division. Running a division is easy. Meeting the most important person in your life's world? That's terrifying. Lena paused. What if she doesn't like me? She will. You can't know that. I can, because you're kind and brilliant, and you laugh at her dinosaur facts even when they get repetitive. Because you care about doing things right. Because you filed paperwork 3 days before we even happened just to protect what we might become. Nathan's voice softened. Mia will see what I see. Someone worth knowing. You have entirely too much faith in me. Just the right amount. Nathan checked the time. Almost 10. I should let you go. It's late. Wait. Lena's voice dropped. Can we do something next weekend? Just us? A real date? Dinner, maybe? Somewhere we don't have to hide. I'd love that. What about Mia? Claire can watch her, right? Just for one night. I want to take you somewhere nice, somewhere you feel celebrated. Nathan's chest tightened. You don't have to. I want to. Let me do this, please. Okay. Yeah, dinner next Saturday. It's a date. Lena yawned. Get some sleep, Nathan. You've got another big week ahead. You too. Don't work all night. I'll try. Good night. Good night, Lena. The second week at North Valley brought new challenges. A concrete supplier missed a delivery deadline, pushing their schedule back 3 days. Nathan had to recalculate timelines, adjust crew assignments, and somehow keep everyone productive without the materials they needed. It was the kind of crisis that would have made Trent explode and blame everyone else. Nathan called a crew meeting instead. Here's where we are, he said, blueprints spread across the trailer table. Supplier screwed up. Concrete won't be here until Thursday. We can sit around waiting, or we can use these 3 days to get ahead on other work. Reinforcement in Sector 6. Form adjustments in the north section. Quality checks we've been putting off. He looked around the room. I know it's frustrating, but we adapt and we keep moving. Questions? Frank raised his hand. What if the delivery gets pushed again? Then I drive to the supplier myself and have words with their manager. But let's assume they'll get it right this time. The crew laughed. The tension broke. They worked those 3 days harder than Nathan expected. By the time the concrete arrived Thursday morning, they'd accomplished 2 weeks' worth of prep work. Williams walked the site that afternoon and actually smiled. This is what good leadership looks like, Cole. Crisis happens, you adapt, you get results anyway. Williams made notes on his tablet. Corporates noticed. You keep this up, you're looking at site manager by end of year. Nathan tried not to let the pride show too much. Just doing the job. Bullshit. You're exceeding the job. Own it. Williams clapped his shoulder. And hey, I heard you're going out with Whitmore this weekend. Good for you. Nathan froze. How did you? Small company. People talk. For what it's worth, I think it's good. You both deserve happiness. Williams headed for his truck. Just keep the work and the personal separate on site. That's all anyone can ask. Friday evening, Nathan picked up Mia from Claire's house. His sister met him at the door with a knowing look. So, Claire said, tomorrow night, your mysterious dinner plans. It's just dinner. With the VP you've been secretly seeing for 3 weeks. Nathan sighed. How did you? You're my brother. I know when you're happy, and you've been different lately. Good different. Claire crossed her arms. So? Are you going to tell me about her, or do I have to drag it out of you? Her name's Lena. She's smart and successful and way out of my league. Nobody's out of your league. She runs an entire division, Claire. I run a construction crew. And you're raising a brilliant daughter while rebuilding your life after a divorce that nearly broke you. Don't sell yourself short. Claire's expression softened. I'm happy for you, Nathan. Truly. You deserve this. Thanks. Nathan hesitated. I'm thinking about introducing her to Mia soon. Is that crazy? Is it serious? Yeah, it is. Then it's not crazy. It's brave. Claire hugged him. Just take it slow. Let Mia set the pace. Saturday morning dawned clear and bright. Nathan spent the day with Mia at the park, then dropped her at Claire's at 5. Mia hugged him extra tight. Have fun on your date, Daddy. Nathan nearly choked. How did you? Aunt Claire told me. She said you're seeing someone nice. Mia looked up at him seriously. Do I get to meet her? Soon, Bug, when you're ready. I'm ready now. How about we start with you meeting her, then we see how it goes. No pressure, just getting to know each other. Mia considered this. Okay, but she better like dinosaurs. I'll make sure to mention that, Nathan said, smiling. He drove home, showered, changed into the one suit he owned. It was the same suit from his wedding 8 years ago, slightly tight in the shoulders now, but still presentable. He looked in the mirror and barely recognized himself. When was the last time he dressed up for someone? Done something just because it felt good, not because it was necessary. Lena had texted him an address, a restaurant downtown, the kind with valet parking and a dress code. Nathan's truck looked ridiculous pulling up to the curb, but the valet took his keys without judgment. Inside, the restaurant was all soft lighting and quiet elegance. Nathan gave Lena's name to the host and was led to a table by the windows. And there she was. Lena wore a dark blue dress, hair down for once instead of pulled back. She looked softer than Nathan had ever seen her, more herself. She stood when she saw him, and her smile was worth every nervous moment of the drive over. Hi, she said. Hi. Nathan kissed her cheek, breathing in that subtle perfume he remembered from her office. You look amazing. So do you. Lena touched his tie. I've never seen you in a suit. I've never seen you in a dress. We're quite the pair. She sat, and Nathan followed. Thank you for coming. I know this is probably out of your comfort zone. Everything about us has been out of my comfort zone, Nathan admitted. But I wouldn't change it. They ordered wine Nathan couldn't pronounce and food that came in tiny, artistic portions. They talked about everything except work. Lena told him about her week, about a project in Seattle that was finally coming together, about her mother calling to ask when she was going to settle down. What did you tell her? Nathan asked. That I'm working on it. Lena smiled. She doesn't know about you yet. I wanted to wait until I was sure this was real. And now? Now I'm sure. Lena reached across the table, took his hand. I told her this morning, said I was seeing someone. Someone who makes me laugh and challenges me and reminds me there's more to life than corner offices. Nathan squeezed her hand. What did she say? She said it's about damn time. They laughed. The conversation flowed easy and natural, like they'd been doing this for years instead of weeks. When dessert came, some chocolate thing that probably cost more than Nathan spent on groceries in a week, Lena got quiet. "I want to meet Mia," she said. "Properly. Not just a casual run-in. I want her to know I'm part of your life." "She asked about you this morning." "Well, she asked if I was dating someone. I told her maybe." "Maybe?" I didn't want to overwhelm her, but yeah, she knows. Nathan set down his fork. "I was thinking next Saturday. The park, maybe. Somewhere she feels comfortable. Just the three of us." Lena's eyes got bright. "I'd love that. Should I bring anything? Do anything special?" "Just be yourself. She'll ask you about dinosaurs within 5 minutes, so brush up on your prehistoric knowledge." "I can do that." Lena laughed. "I'm terrified." "Me too, but we'll figure it out." After dinner, they walked through downtown. The city was alive with Saturday night energy, people spilling out of bars and restaurants, street musicians playing for spare change. Lena slipped her hand into Nathan's and they just walked, two people who'd fought for the right to do exactly this. "I got you something," Lena said suddenly. She pulled a small box from her purse. Nathan stopped. "Lena, you didn't have to. I wanted to." She handed him the box. "Open it." Inside was a key. Simple, silver, unremarkable except for what it represented. "It's to my condo," Lena said quietly. "I'm not asking you to move in or change anything. I just want you to have it, so you know you're always welcome, so you know this is real for me too." Nathan stared at the key. Such a small thing, such a huge gesture. "You're sure?" he asked. "I've never been more sure of anything." Nathan closed his fingers around the key. "Then I accept. Not as a risk, as responsibility." Responsibility? To show up, to be present, to treat this like it matters. He pulled Lena close. "Because it does. You matter." Lena kissed him right there on the sidewalk, with the city moving around them, indifferent to their small moment of joy. When they pulled apart, she was smiling. "Take me home?" "Which home?" "Yours. I want to see where you live, where Mia lives. I want to know that part of your world too." Nathan's apartment had never felt smaller than when he unlocked the door with Lena behind him. The water-stained ceiling, the Goodwill furniture, the child's drawings taped to the refrigerator. All of it suddenly felt inadequate. But Lena walked in and smiled. "This is perfect," she said. "It's a mess. It's a home." She picked up one of Mia's drawings from the coffee table. A family of dinosaurs. "She's talented." "She's everything." Lena set down the drawing and turned to Nathan. "Thank you for letting me in, for trusting me with this." "Thank you for wanting in." They sat on the couch, the same one where Nathan had fallen asleep countless nights with Mia curled against him. Lena fit there naturally, like she'd always belonged. "Tell me about your fear," Nathan said suddenly. "What scares you most about this?" Lena was quiet for a moment. "That I'll mess it up. That I'll choose work over you like I've chosen work over everything else my whole life. That I'll disappoint Mia. That I'll prove your ex-wife right. That people like me don't know how to make relationships work." "People like you? Ambitious, driven, difficult." Lena looked at her hands. "Marcus used to say I loved my job more than I loved him. Maybe he was right. Or maybe he wasn't strong enough to love someone who refused to be small." Nathan tilted her chin up. "I don't want you to choose between work and me, Lena. I want you to choose both. To be ambitious and driven and difficult when the situation calls for it. Because that's who you are. That's who I fell for." "You fell for me?" Nathan realized what he'd said. The words that had been sitting in his chest for weeks, waiting. "Yeah," he said. "I did. Probably that first Tuesday when you asked my opinion like it mattered. Definitely by that Friday night, when you told me you'd filed paperwork because you wanted to do things right. And absolutely that day in the HR meeting when you laid out every piece of evidence like you were defending something worth fighting for." He touched her face. "I'm in love with you, Lena Whitmore. All of you. The VP and the woman who eats burned grilled cheese alone in her condo. The boss and the person who texts me pictures of the city at night. All of it." Lena's breath caught. "Nathan, you don't have to say it back. I just needed you to know. I do say it back. Lena's voice was fierce. I'm in love with you too, with the single dad who filed safety reports when it was easier to stay quiet, with the man who came to my office to protect me instead of himself, with the father who makes dinosaur pancakes and talks about his daughter like she hung the moon. She kissed him. I'm in love with all of you. They stayed on that couch until late, talking and planning and dreaming about a future that felt possible instead of impossible. When Lena finally left around midnight, Nathan walked her to her car and kissed her goodbye like it was the most natural thing in the world. The next Saturday, Nathan woke up with butterflies in his stomach. Today was the day. Lena was meeting Mia. He made breakfast, helped Mia pick out her favorite dinosaur shirt, and tried not to let his nervousness show. Is she nice? Mia asked in the truck on the way to the park. Very nice. A little nervous, actually. She really wants you to like her. Why would she be nervous about me? Because you're important to me, which makes you important to her. Mia considered this. Okay, I'll try to like her. Nathan smiled. That's all I ask. Lena was waiting at the park entrance, casual in jeans and a sweater, looking more nervous than Nathan had ever seen her. She had a book tucked under her arm. Hi, she said when they approached. Hi, Kai. Nathan touched her shoulder. Lena, this is Mia. Mia, this is Lena. Mia looked up at Lena with serious eyes. Do you like dinosaurs? Lena crouched down to Mia's level. I do. My favorite is the velociraptor. What's yours? Triceratops, but velociraptors are cool too. Mia eyed the book. What's that? It's a dinosaur encyclopedia. I thought maybe we could look at it together. If you want. Mia's face lit up. Really? Really? Lena stood, held out her hand. Want to find a good spot? Mia took her hand without hesitation, and Nathan's heart did something complicated in his chest. They spent 2 hours at the park. Mia showed Lena the swings, the slide that was secretly a T-Rex, the duck pond. Lena listened to every dinosaur fact Mia shared, asked questions that showed she was really paying attention, and treated Mia like a person instead of just a kid. When Mia ran off to play on the monkey bars, Lena sat next to Nathan on the bench. How am I doing? She asked quietly. Perfect. You're doing perfect. She's amazing, Nathan. So smart, so confident. Gets that from her mom, actually. Nathan watched Mia swing across the bars. Jennifer might have left, but she gave me the best thing in my life first. Lena took his hand. Thank you for sharing her with me. After the park, they got ice cream. Mia got chocolate. Lena got vanilla. Nathan got strawberry and let Mia steal bites. They sat at a picnic table and Mia asked Lena 1,000 questions about her job, her car, whether she'd ever seen a real dinosaur bone. On the drive home, Mia fell asleep in the back seat. Lena followed in her car. When they pulled up to Nathan's apartment, she helped carry a sleeping Mia inside. Nathan tucked his daughter into bed, kissed her forehead, and found Lena waiting in the living room. She's out cold, Nathan said. She had a big day. Lena smiled. Did I pass? With flying colors, she asked me in the car if you could come to her school science fair next month. Lena's eyes went wide. Really? Really? Nathan pulled her close. You're part of this now, Lena. Part of us. If you want to be. I want to be. Lena wrapped her arms around him. I want Saturday park days and dinosaur encyclopedias and school science fairs. I want all of it. Even the chaos? Especially the chaos. They stood there in Nathan's tiny living room, holding each other, and Nathan thought about that Friday night 4 weeks ago. The dare that was supposed to destroy him. The walk into Lena's office that changed everything. If someone had told him then that it would lead here, to love, to promotion, to a future that felt full instead of empty, he never would have believed them. But here he was, site lead at North Valley. In love with a woman who saw him, father to a daughter who was thriving, building something real out of courage and honesty and the willingness to risk everything for something that mattered. 3 months later, Nathan stood in Williams's office at the North Valley site. Congratulations, Williams said, shaking his hand. Effective immediately, you're promoted to site manager. Full benefits, salary increase, your own team. Nathan stared at the contract in his hands. Site manager. The title he'd stopped dreaming about years ago, thinking it was for people like Trent, not people like him. Thank you, he managed. You earned it, Cole. Best foundation work I've seen in 20 years. 0 safety incidents. Ahead of schedule. That's the kind of leadership we need more of. Nathan signed the contract with shaking hands. That night he told Mia over dinosaur pancakes. She cheered and demanded they celebrate with extra ice cream. He called Claire, who cried and said she always knew he could do it. And then he called Lena. I got it, he said when she answered. Site manager. Lena's laugh was pure joy. I knew you would. I'm so proud of you. Couldn't have done it without you. Yes, you could have, but I'm glad I got to be there for it. A pause. Are we celebrating tonight? Can't. I've got Mia, and she's already claimed ice cream celebration rights. Tomorrow then. My place. I'll cook. You cook? I'll learn for you. Nathan laughed. I love you. I love you too, site manager Cole. 4 months after that, on a Saturday morning that started like any other, Lena showed up at Nathan's apartment with a key of her own. I have a proposition, she said, sitting at his kitchen table while Mia colored at the other end. I'm listening. My lease is up in 2 months. I've been thinking about what comes next. Lena took a breath. I want to find a place, something bigger, something with space for all of us. If you're ready. If Mia's ready. Nathan's heart stopped. You want us to move in together? I want us to build something together. A home. Not mine, not yours. Ours. Lena looked at Mia. If that's okay with everyone. Mia looked up from her coloring. Would I get my own room? The biggest room, with space for all your dinosaurs. And you'd be there every day? Like a real family? Lena's eyes got bright. If you want me there. Mia thought about it for exactly 3 seconds. Okay, but we need a yard for when I get a dog. Nathan and Lena both laughed. We'll work on the dog, Nathan said. 2 months later, they moved into a house in a neighborhood with good schools and a yard perfect for a future dog. Mia got her big room, Nathan got a garage for his tools, and Lena got a home office with windows that looked out over the garden instead of the city. The first night in the new house, after Mia was asleep in her new room, Nathan and Lena stood in their bedroom, and just looked at each other. We did it, Lena said. Nah, we actually did it. Built something real, out of a dare that was supposed to destroy us. Nathan pulled her close. Best dare I never accepted. Best warning I ever received. They kissed, and it felt like coming home. A year and a half after that Friday night, Nathan stood in the backyard of their home, watching Mia play with the rescue dog they'd adopted 3 months ago. A golden retriever named Rex who thought he was a dinosaur. Lena came out with 2 beers, handed him one. What are you thinking about? How different everything is. How a year ago I was living in that apartment, driving that dying truck, thinking that was as good as life was going to get. And now? Now I'm a site manager with a daughter who's thriving, and a woman I love, and a dog named after a T-Rex. Nathan smiled. Now life is better than I ever imagined it could be. Lena leaned against him. You know what the best part is? What? We chose this. Every single day we keep choosing each other, choosing courage over fear, choosing hope over settling. She looked up at him. That's what makes it real. Nathan kissed her forehead. I'll keep choosing you, every day, for as long as you'll let me. Forever sounds good. Forever sounds perfect. They stood there in their backyard, watching Mia and Rex play. The evening sun painting everything gold, and Nathan thought about Trent Miller, probably bitter somewhere, still blaming everyone else for his failures. About the men who'd laughed at that dare, thinking it would be the end of Nathan Cole. They'd been wrong. The dare hadn't ended him. It had freed him to be brave, to reach for something better, to build a life out of honesty and hard work and love that refused to apologize for existing. The dare was supposed to prove Nathan wasn't good enough for someone like Lena Whitmore. Instead, it proved that a single father with mud on his boots and courage in his heart was exactly good enough, more than good enough. He was exactly right, And somewhere in the city, in offices and construction sites and homes built from second chances, other people were learning the same lesson. That choosing courage over safety, truth over convenience, love over fear, that was how you built something that lasted. That was how you won. Not by playing it safe, but by walking through the door when everyone expected you to run away. By choosing the person who saw you, even when it cost everything. By building a life out of hope instead of hiding. Nathan had walked into Lena's office expecting disaster. He'd found salvation instead. And every single day since, he'd chosen to keep walking forward, keep building, keep loving, keep believing that people like him, ordinary people with extraordinary courage, could have extraordinary lives. Because they could. Because he did. Because standing in his backyard with the woman he loved and the daughter who was his whole world, Nathan Cole finally understood what it meant to be enough. Not perfect, not flawless, just enough, just right, just exactly who he was supposed to be, and that was everything.